Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, depending on when you're watching this video. And yes, we are back. On the Road with Lwando is back. School is done, exams are done, it's complete. So now, literally my focus is back and bringing you guys all good quality content. And literally to kick, without actually wasting any more of your time, and to kick things off. In today's episode, actually, you are going to take a trip with me all the way to Kampala in Uganda and also Nairobi in Kenya. And we actually get to see in between on how I discover new things actually about these new places and the new countries that I actually got to visit during my work trip. And also like some of the cool things that actually happened in the flight and also just like that I noticed, especially when you're taking taxis around Kampala and also in Kenya. But without any further ado, let me not waste all your time. Let's get to this episode of On the Road with Lwando. Chew in the jingle. So good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, depending on when you watch this video. So you might notice, if you actually recognize this location where I'm at from, I think, my second episode, where I talked about the Cape Town International Airport. So today's episode, basically, it's going to be something quite different. It's going to be more of a vlog than anything else, because today, I'm visiting the continent for work, but also again to film some content. So today basically is I get to experience, what it's like again to be a visitor in a different place, and get to explore. And today's locations, basically, the first one, it's Kampala, Uganda. That's where I'll be landing first. And then the second one, it's Nairobi in Kenya. So please, let's get boarding. And by the way,
Please note, this is not boarding call by passenger call. Can the following passengers please make themselves known to the gate agent at 8 Passenger Iron Promise and Rafael Boyd, Yolanda Credits, Miss Blanc, Passenger Frank Berjuda, Passenger Gabriel Jesus,
come on.
Anthony Bredahan,
Okay.
Olivia Ma, please make yourself known to Capital A3. Thank you.
So the best way basically to start the episode today, it's actually not on the road with Lwando. Basically, it's on the air and on the road with Lwando. So yeah, let's get to the boarding gate and enjoy the flight. So what we didn't realize actually now was that we're actually going to be delayed quite a while just before we left Cape Town, which it might not sound that bad because I think it was only like an hour and a half of delay. But considering that actually we had to catch a connecting flight in Nairobi to Uganda, this was actually a bit of bad news. And considering also we needed, our first meeting was actually the next day at around 10 a.m. Ugandan time. But yeah, eventually it was boarding time for us after a long wait. That's actually always for me one of my favorite processes because it's better actually than the security checks. So boarding. So that's Jay. I then just gave them my ticket, and because it's an international flight, I have to carry my passport here and not my ID. So yeah, now we are through and on our way onto the jet bridge. So the nice thing actually about the jet bridge, you actually get to see a lot of the airport without actually having to look around for cars coming in and out. So for those people actually who haven't flown or you don't know much, or what this thing is called, this is called the jet bridge. This is what actually takes you from the terminal onto your airplane. So on some actually airplanes, you might be actually asked to exit on the right down the stairs if you're going to enter at the back. But here we entered on the front. As you can see, we're inside the Embraer E190. Legroom, almost at the limit, but this is like the smallest screens. I think only SA had these small screens, but a long time ago And here you can actually see our actual tray table. So yeah, not too bad actually, but I wish it had, you know, like those drink holders. So I don't know if I'm only drinking something, I don't have to open up the whole entire tray. So the screen actually can actually tilt back to front. Is it tilting? Yeah. Then you also get like these pillows for you to relax, and then they provide you with headphones. I will recommend actually that you bring your own headphones and then bring an adapter. I'll actually put a picture of the adapter here so that you can actually get that, so to get good quality sound. And there's also air conditioning vents individually for each person. I always appreciate these because it can get very, very hot or very, very cold on the airplane. So yeah, but once it gets very, very hot, yeah, it's very hard. Yeah, and then also, yeah, they started to start up the system. It's actually quite laggy, that's what I can say about it. So, and very, very limited entertainment options for you. And there was one thing actually which was pretty weird, that as you're watching the shows, what happens is that, for example, you'll get like the Big Bang Theory, but it will have like, let's say, season 3 up from episode 4 to episode 8. Like, it just didn't make sense. And sometimes there'll be, while you're trying to watch something, there'll be shows in between, so you have to all the time have to try and skip forward, which I would say, yeah, on this particular flight, you better off actually bring your own entertainment. Yeah, it'd be better. But yeah, the Embraer E190, actually it's a very nice small plane compared to like a Boeing 737 or the Airbus A320. It feels much more intimate compared to those. Then you also have like a charging port on the left hand side there. Then again, as you can see, the legroom was just almost to the maximum. And then you have the overhead bins on top.
If you're traveling with an infant on your lap, we have special seatbelts.
So, and soon enough, it was departure time. So we're leaving the beautiful Cape Town International Airport about just over an hour late compared to what we were, the time that we're supposed to leave. And unfortunately, I didn't get a window seat for this particular leg of the flight. Yeah, but it was not a train smash, and at least I was next to my colleague, so I can still like pop the camera through so that you guys can also have a view of a takeoff in the beautiful Cape Town International Airport. And just like that, camera work, we're gonna speed up, and that's the takeoff for you. You can see we did a southern takeoff, so it's basically you climb up south towards the beach, and then you make a left turn. Then that's gonna bring us in the northerly direction. So I simply asked my colleague here to open up the blinds for me because we're still actually climbing up. So yeah. And right here, ladies and gentlemen, it was my poor attempt of trying to watch something on this flight because the screen is so small. It looks like a TV screen. Sorry, not a TV screen. It looks like it's actually way smaller than your tablet. Just slightly bigger, than a typical smartphone these days, like a 7-inch smartphone. But yeah, so this is basically the look and feel inside. Nothing, no drama yet on the flight. I didn't say there won't be any drama. I'm just saying no drama yet. Yeah, but I was quite hungry. But again, because we just took off within an hour, ta-da! We have our lunch, which was actually almost late lunch or dinner at this time, because we're actually here. We're not flying straight to Nairobi. We're actually from this leg of the flight. We're flying. We're gonna land in Livingstone, in Zambia, where we're gonna drop off some people, and then we're gonna pick up some other passengers. But this is what you get here: a very nice bun, which includes also a cookie for dessert, or a cake, you can say it. And then inside my hot meal. I actually, for some reason, always enjoy plain foods. So this is me trying to use one hand to open. And remember, this thing is actually quite hot, so you also don't want to drop it. But eventually, I do succeed. And here is a creamy chicken and some spaghetti and veggies. And then also, I never forget, always try out the local beer. So I tried out Tusker, which is a Kenyan beer. So, after my stomach was full, after a while, I decided actually I also want to do the loo review, so that you guys can actually see how does an Embraer E190 loo looks like inside. Yeah, it's quite cramped, but yeah, it's like any typical plane, even though there were some panels that was like almost falling off. As you can see, literally almost filling up the entire room. But yeah, it can get bumpy while you're there, so it's good that you hold on. See, there was the thing that was open right there, but it was back on my seat and just watching the sunset, because we were soon going to approach Livingstone in Zambia. And therefore we landed in Livingstone. This is actually where a bit of like drama kind of started for us. So I actually didn't tell you about the delay while we had the delay in Cape Town. So the delay was actually the APU, or the auxiliary power unit of the plane. Okay, pilots can correct me here, but usually the APU is used. That's actually the third engine that you never see of a plane that starts up. So it starts running. It keeps the power on, the air conditioning on. So the reason why you're asking here, why is it so dark? It's because when the plane switched off its engines, the APU was not running. So it meant it was quite hot, and there was actually no power to see. And all this while, people were trying to get off, and others were trying to come inside the airplane. So we actually had to wait for a long while, because they needed to find a generator, or I don't know what the official word, I think it's a generator or an air boost, to actually help power up the aircraft while it's in the ground. So because now the power's off, again, remember I told you that the entertainment thingy was very slow and laggy, so it took its time to power up. But yeah, once people were in, it was actually time for us to make our departure. Again, it's not going to be the last time having a power failure. So again, when I say power failure, it just means that the cabin lights or the television were switched off temporarily. The engines and everything, it was working all fine. There was nothing which was threatening the safety of the aircraft. So please do not be alarmed when I show that. Yeah. So this was actually around here when we actually had our power failure again. So as you can see, the cabin lights went off, so emergency lights came on, and then the televisions or the entertainment screens were gone. Yeah, and then we had to do the long wait again for it to restart. That was actually literally the gist of our flight from Livingstone. So yeah, that was pretty much actually, much uneventful. Uneventful, yes, between our flight from Livingstone all the way down to Nairobi, Kenya. I actually want to ask a question. What is it actually, like when a plane lands, that actually they're gonna say keep your seatbelts fastened until the plane comes to a complete stop, and then it's gonna take like another 5, well, if they're very fast, or 10 to 15 minutes before the plane lands again, and then people already are standing up. But anyway, dinner arrived for the second leg. Now this was from again from Livingstone in Zambia. We're on our way to Nairobi. Well, I wasn't actually too hungry by the time this arrived, because it was barely like 2 hours, or I think it was 2 to 3 hours since our last meal. But this time around, I chose some nice beef and rice and veggies. And then they give you your bun and also that nice cake that you want. But yeah, we arrived in Nairobi. It was time for us to disembark the plane. And then here, you get to see, oh, it was actually quite warm. But again, I remember, we're actually closer to the equator when you are in Nairobi. And also the nice thing, I actually enjoy an airport where for me, I actually get to see, like step on the, what you call this, not the terminal, I need to get on the apron, yes, of the flight, because then you get to actually view your planes basically around, and also you get to view your plane and all other planes out there, and you get to feel fresh air. But then, when you land in places, for example, like Qatar or Dubai, I do understand actually why you need a jet bridge immediately from the airplane into the terminal, because it gets really, really, really hot. So, yep, we made it! So yeah, we're inside the buses. So this is the bus that's going to take you from the plane onto the terminal. Okay, so leg one has been complete. We flew from Cape Town, made a pit stop in Livingstone, Zambia. You know, we're in Nairobi, and one more flight to Kampala. Unfortunately, I wanted to visit the lounge, but that ain't gonna happen because our flight was an hour and a half late in Cape Town due to due to an APU problem. Even now, literally, they were still everywhere stopped. The plane, literally, the lights will go off and everything. But yeah, it's been a journey and it's gonna be a long one. But anyway, now off to transit and then straight to the next flight. Literally, there's no break. So, basically, a shower was had and it was a very good one. Thank you very much for lounges with showers. So by the time I arrived at the lounge, dinner service was over, but it is still have snacks. That's all I needed. But the one thing I needed the most was a shower. And I don't know, when I travel, there's one thing I appreciate the most, and I'm always looking forward to in the lounge. Not just the wet ones, but also a shower. Literally, that's literally the best thing ever that you can have. So yeah, feel refreshed, and then now I need to run back. So again, if you have lounge access in Jomo Kenyatta Airport, please make sure that actually you check which lounge you have access to, and also how far is it from your gate, because now for me and my colleague it's gonna be quite a rushed one, back to our gate to Entebbe. But anyway, I'll see you in Entebbe or when we're boarding for Entebbe. So, finally made it to the infamous gate 16. Waiting to board. Time now it's 5:01, 0053 in the morning, and me and my colleague, we have our first meeting quite early morning tomorrow, and we're still flying over to Entebbe, and I think is it the 1 hour flight or what? 2. Oh flip, okay, yeah. So we're getting there around 4 a.m. in the morning, and our first meeting is at 11. Good luck to us. But anyway, yeah. Now, let me just rush and go back to sleep. And so, after I don't know how long was that, delays and delays and delays, finally we're about to board. The bird. It's another Embraer 190 to Kampala. No, yes, to Kampala. Huh? Nope. Didn't ask for it. Just ask for it. On this leg of the flight or of the trip, I was a happy camper because I finally got my window seat. So as you can see, the time here is well after 1 a.m. in the morning. By this time, actually, we're supposed to be in Kampala sleeping already, but we're still about to take off. Like thinking, oh God, it's gonna be a very, very, very long day tomorrow because our first meeting literally is at the embassy, so we cannot afford to be late. So yeah, soon enough it was time for us to have our night takeoff, of which for me actually I was quite disappointed because I wanted to see the Great Lake Victoria, the lake, oh yeah, there are the Great Lakes, there are Great Lakes, but also yeah, Lake Victoria in Kampala as we land. But unfortunately it was not going to happen because we're doing a night takeoff, and yeah, we'll be in Kampala. So time for us to take off. So again, because this was actually quite a very short flight, there was no need actually for any meal service. So yeah, soon we were approaching Kampala. I like actually how during at night every city looks as the most beautiful city you can find. Yeah, that's the thing about it. And yeah, if you're sitting actually on the wing and you see this happening to an engine when you land, please be advised it's, yeah, nothing crazy is going on. It's called the thrust reversers. Basically, they push the air forward as part of the airplane's braking system so that you don't finish the brakes. So that's why you see now the engine there, engine cowl opening. It's actually just pushing the air forward, which is why actually when it lands, it's quite noisy. Let me actually make you hear this. And just like that, we have arrived in Entebbe, in Uganda. Oh, and look at that. It's actually the Russian Illusion. That's the plane. It was actually the first time I was seeing one face to face. I've seen actually quite a lot of, like, sometimes when it takes off in Cape Town over where I stay, because I stay under the flight path, but it was great to finally see it in person. And also I've watched the documentaries more than enough of the raid in Entebbe. So for me, it was actually quite interesting arriving at this particular airport. It's one of those airports in Africa I've always wanted to visit, and I was there. And I was still just mesmerizing that quad engine illusion. Yeah, but then again, we had finally arrived in Kampala, and at this time we're actually just hoping that our taxi is still there. And also, again, as a South African, when you go to Uganda, you need to pre-apply for a visa. So when you go through customs, they're actually going to be checking that visa, and they're going to be stamping that visa for you. So remember that. So if you do want to visit Uganda, you will need to pre-apply for a visa if you are a South African. Yeah, but now, literally, I was just so tired at this time. I was like, I can't wait to get to bed. But what I did not realize is actually how long the trip it takes from the airport to where we stayed, even though it's not that far. And shame, the poor driver, I think we were late by almost like 2 hours, and he was there waiting for us. So time is 3:08 in the morning. Have arrived in Entebbe in Kampala, Uganda. Saying I'm tired is an understatement, because well, you don't need to, you're not applying. So saying I'm tired is an understatement. So, but finally arrived. I only have like a few hours of sleep before our first meeting in Entebbe. So now that's the crazy thing, the crazy one. But hey, what can we do? I shall see you when I wake up. We just finally cleared immigration. Now it's baggage claim. I need a trolley. Nairobi. Where's, oh, okay, there's trolleys. Huh? Huh? What, this? Oh. Come back. Huh? Get 2 trolleys. Okay. So, because we arrived late, we managed to get our bags. It's been a very long journey. And, I'm seeing the favorite one. Currency exchange. Right over there. That's one thing that I need now. So basically, plus we also do have oversized baggage, so I might have to go and find that. So actually, I had a bit of a panic here because it had my colleague's name, but my name was not there. So I was like, oh, I hope this guy's not going to leave me there. So it's day 2. Currently now we are on our first meeting, which fortunately was delayed by an hour. Made a little bit of a difference, but yeah, it's so cool. Weather is nice, and I hope it's not too windy for the microphone. But yeah, anyway, first day actually in Kampala. There's my colleague at the back saying hi. Welcome to On the Road.
Welcome to
In
On
Kampala.
the Road with Wando.
In Kampala this time.
In Kampala.
One thing actually that really grabbed my mind here was driving. So we're in a circle. So I'm thinking of South African rules of how you approach a circle. Look at that green truck on the left. Look at what it's doing. I was like, wait a minute, what the hell? But funny enough, there is zero road rage here. People just go on, like, people do whatever that they want. Even though for me, as someone from outside, it would drive me crazy, which is why actually I was like, here and also like in Nairobi, I would not drive because the borders, the motorbikes, whoo, yeah. It also makes me, it made sense because from where I come from, but like in South Africa, yeah, everything just kind of made sense why it's like this. Yeah, but the only also unfortunate thing is that actually while I was there, I didn't take a border trip. Because actually Ubers, both actually in Uganda and also in Kenya, you can actually Uber with a border, which actually it's quite interesting. So, and soon enough, we arrived at the South African High Commission for our first meeting. So, thanking our Uber driver. Oh, the weather actually was quite nice. Not too hot, but just nice. So it's nice. It's actually not too hot as I thought it was going to be, but I'm still surprised by the way people drive. It's crazy. Like, it's scary. Like, I just saw a guy almost getting hit by a car, but it was fine. Like, literally, they all knew each other. But it's so cool. I think here's a diplomat in that car. Looks like it, flashing with Ugandan flags. But yeah, so cool to see the South African High Commission in Kampala. So, okay, now we're gonna continue exploring off to the next one. So after our meetings, actually, it was back to the hotel, and actually, yeah, it was quite interesting to see Kampala from above. And one of the actually here I was actually trying to notice how people drive, and it was crazy. Not in a bad way, but in their own way, like how they drive here. And the police here, they carry like AK-47s in the street. I was a bit scared, but also I felt a bit safe. like, oh, okay, yeah, they carry like guns like this. But yeah, it's actually a very beautiful city, nice and green. It's almost like South Africa, but yeah, different. Especially, with how, so like on that corner here, just right in front of us where that border is going, there's always like cars that come there. So this is basically proper day one actually in Kampala. The weather here is nice. Literally, it feels like I'm back in summer, even though back at home it's winter. It's rainy, it's cold, but here it's summer. But you get to learn quite a lot of things just by visiting other places. The way people drive here, it's crazy mad. I'm gonna show you an example. There's an intersection just down here. If there's a vehicle coming through, I'm gonna pat the camera like there. Look at the guy, doesn't even look, and then he just goes. Like, that's how crazy it gets. Now there's a car and he wants to turn right. Let's see how's that gonna work, because there's quite a lot of he's changed his mind. But yeah, it's been quite amazing. It's my first time actually where I'm traveling the continent itself, and I must say I've been impressed. Yeah, apart from the airlines, ooh, yeah. But anything other than that, it's been quite good. And I hope the wind is not too bad, because now the wind is picking up. But yeah, still watching the crazy traffic. Woo, just enter. And somehow it works. It just works. I don't know how they do it, but it works. And it was day two of our visit. So today we're visiting some Ugandan universities that are based in Kampala. And again, the driving here, like I was always scared. Like I'm like, oh, stop, 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 stop. But the driver was just fine. People here, they know what they're doing. Like, look at this, how close it is. And there's zero accidents. They just know. South African taxi drivers, they will have a field right here. They will love it. Yeah, but yeah, today also the weather was quite beautiful. One thing I was actually scared of was the rain, because I know in this part of the continent, once it rains, it can get crazy. But yeah, it was good. So yeah, basically day two, it was nothing actually much for us in terms of visiting, but yeah, just visiting the universities. But again, I'll keep saying the roads here were just mesmerizing. How like cars and everything just move around. I'm actually gonna keep quiet and show you more of how the driving here looks like. So I was also actually warned here by the Uber drivers, because at times like I'll try to record, but no, like kind of like almost sticking the camera out, and they're like, yeah, don't stick the camera out. And I'm like, oh, okay, yeah. Anyway, in South Africa it's the same thing again. You don't stick it or else you lose it. Yeah, so this is here also trying to navigate through the roads, at times quite bumpy. And also one thing actually here that you don't see quite a lot is actually in parts of the city, it's actually the traffic lights. They actually do though have, just like we do in South Africa, especially in Johannesburg, and also Gqeberha. You'll see human traffic cops directing traffic at intersections because we don't have power. Yo, but yeah, they're very strict. They're very strict. You don't just, yeah, don't do whatever. You must follow instructions. So yeah, from right here actually we had, because I didn't do much filming on the third day, because again it was just doing quite a lot of like what do you call this thing, meetings. And so sometimes, yeah, this is what I tell people, that when you go on work trips, there's very almost little tourism that's going on, but from here onwards, this was actually early morning for us on our way back to Entebbe Airport, trying to drive, but luckily we also left quite early so that we could make it on time for our flight, because yeah, it's actually quite a very long way. And for me, actually, I was quite excited because I was actually going to see just a glimpse again of Lake Victoria. And there's a matatu there. It's the Ugandan and also Kenyan taxis. They call them matatu. Yeah, we call them in SA. We used to call them CIs, and then now we call them quantums. So as you can see here, how people, cars, and borders are just navigating around each other. And when people are hooting here, they're actually not hooting because they're angry at you. They're hooting just to say, hey, okay, my way, so that people know that you are coming through. Yep. So this is actually the part of the city that I couldn't see at night when we were coming through. And again, because we're in Africa, it actually quite felt very, 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 very familiar. Like looking through, like, okay, it doesn't get this busy, in some of our like towns, but it looks like I could be in Gombo. There, I could have been in Tata. Oh, people from Tata will kill me. Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. It felt very familiar to me. And also, again, the weather for some reason was quite tolerable. It was not actually that hot. But again, we got the exact same driver who was taking us now back to the airport using the car. I actually just wanted here to stick the camera out again so that I can capture some very nice footage. Some things actually for me which were quite interesting is that sometimes as you're driving would drive like through this like vast open land like here, which was like, I don't know, it was quite beautiful actually to see, like just this nice open land. And right here I think this is the suburb side of like Kampala. And then again we're also approaching here their toll gates, which actually looks way cooler and way different compared to like South African toll gates. Like I like here the building, it just looks less menacing compared to like a South African toll booth. Here also again they use cash to pay rather than like the tax system, but yeah, they respect what you call the toll gates here. People don't just do anything. And actually one of the interesting things is that actually while we are driving towards the airport, part of actually closer to the airport, we actually get to pass closer to the president's residential. And also again, someone who has money and then there's American influence. Does this building look familiar? Yeah, so this is actually the parts of the vast land that you're going through. So I'm not sure actually this was actually whether it's like a wetland with reeds, but it's like a huge area where I think for me it's actually part of Lake Victoria that we're just passing over. And for me, the one thing I've been looking forward to, Lake Victoria, right here. Actually, I think it's actually one of the, if it's not the biggest, it's actually one of the biggest lakes that you can find in the continent and also around the world. It's so huge, but here you're only seeing a portion of it. Okay, good morning. So now finally back at Entebbe airport, just cleared security. My time here was amazing, but unfortunately I was not here for fun. I was here for more for work, but hey, it gave me an opportunity then to one day come back here. But hey, I shall see. The country is beautiful, the people interesting. What do you call this thing? Border. Very, very interesting. As you can see from some of these clips. So yeah, the next stop now is at Nairobi. Be there for the next 3 days, and then back home to Cape Town on the road with Luando. Anyway, let's continue the journey. Now we're gonna try out the lounges. Hopefully I have access to this lounge. I have no idea. So I actually couldn't film the coming inside the airport because of security. But yeah, we arrived at Entebbe airport. As you know, it's time to hit the lounge. So now back at Entebbe. So the Entebbe lounge, it actually felt for me much more homely compared to like other lounges. This actually, for some reason, quite again, it's the whole thing about familiarity. It actually felt like I was sitting at like someone's home. So yeah, you can do work, and the nice thing when we got here this morning, it was actually quite less busy. But because again, it was early morning, you couldn't get any beverages with a percentage at this time. Well, I didn't mind that, so I was like, okay, I'm gonna get just like a snack and also like some small pop or cool drink or soda, whatever that people call it around the world, and also like something to eat. But the number one thing actually that I need the most was to charge my devices, so I was just looking for a chair with a plug. But yeah, let me show you also how the lounge looks like. Man, oh man, this is nice. So here you get like your food areas where you can grab your food yourself. It's all self-service, and then yeah, there's also water and some drinks. If you need assistance with wheelchairs, you can also go for it. So here actually I was closer to the plugs, but then also I wanted to see the apron, where you can get to see all the aircrafts that are out there before we departed for our trip back to Nairobi, where we actually landed the 3 days ago. Yeah. Okay, so a short stint at the lounge was well received. It was nice. Just I managed to charge my devices a bit before flight. But now it's time to say goodbye to Entebbe on our way to Nairobi, and we got to walk on the airport. How cool is that? Let's watch some planes. Move around. So we took that flight, that same aircraft from Cape Town to Nairobi. Now we're taking the same flight from Entebbe to Nairobi, and hopefully this time the APU is working. But yeah, anyway, let's go for it. Actually, it's inappropriate. Okay. The weather also looks quite gloomy. Looks like it might rain. But okay. Good news is the APU is running on its own. If you can hear me throughout this noise. Last time we needed an external power to power up the aircraft, and also again to start the engine to boost them. So that's why we had hours and hours of delays. But today, that ain't happening the time. So let's enjoy the flight as we fly over Lake Victoria, and I'll see you inside and in Nairobi.
And that is the end of part 1 of my trip to Uganda and Nairobi. And I hope that actually you're enjoying this kind of trips in this video. And I actually hope that I'm going to see you on part 2, which you can find right here. So I'll see you on the next one. Remember to keep exploring and stay curious. This is On the Road with Luando.